O Jornal Unesp de abril entrevistou o historiador Alexander Keyssar, professor da Universidade de Harvard. Ele falou a respeito da eleição presidencial norte-americana de 2012, que será realizada em novembro. Neste vídeo, o pesquisador explica a dinâmica do sistema eleitoral daquele país.
First of all, I know that you are going to have a presentation in the United States about why United States still have electoral college.
Oh, you got that off the internet, huh? Yeah, I'm doing that in Ohio.
Yeah, first for us, when the newspapers in Brazil trying to explain the way the Americans vote, it's very complicated. Most of people don't understand it. I'd like to ask you, if you could, explain to us why is this and why it still is like this.
It's a very reasonable question. The Electoral College, this is what was set up in the original Constitution of the United States. So this was designed at the end of the 18th century. And in the original design, it was a form of indirect elections, which existed in Latin America, actually, in the 19th century too, where they distrusted the people. So the people would vote for some people, and then those people would elect other people. The idea was that you would get the more educated deciding, or the wiser deciding. That was the original. Right, but representatives of representatives. If you. So what the Constitution says is that a president will be elected by electors who are chosen by the people, and they will choose the president. Now, in practice, the way this works today, we'll put aside the way it doesn't work anything like the way it was designed to work. Nothing like the way it was designed. In practice, the way it works is that each state in the United States gets a certain number of electoral votes, which is the number of members of Congress it has plus the 2 senators. Okay? So it's proportional to population up to a point, but then everybody gets the extra 2, so it's not completely proportional to population.
Okay, so small states with low population sometimes has more representativity?
Has proportionately more, it's exactly right. Okay. If you live in a tiny state, there's like one elector for every 250,000 people. In a big state, it would be one elector for every 600,000 people. The president is the person who gets a majority of electoral votes. Okay? So in the United States, it doesn't matter what the national popular vote is. It matters who gets the most electoral votes. Okay? And in most states, the vast majority of states, the person who wins the popular vote in a state will get all of that state's electoral votes. So, for example, if Barack Obama wins 55% of the vote and Mitt Romney wins 45% of the vote in the state of Massachusetts or the state of New York, Barack Obama gets 100% of the electoral votes. It's a crazy system. It has serious deficiencies, including the fact that a person can get elected without winning a majority.
Okay, yeah. George W. Bush was elected in this situation, right?
Yes. In 2000, George Bush was elected in exactly that situation. And 4 years later, it was almost reversed. 4 years later, John Kerry had there'd been 50,000 votes different in Ohio. John Kerry would have been president, even having lost the election by 3 million votes to Bush. I mean, it also changes the way people campaign. It changes the whole way. It changes the whole way presidential campaigns are conducted in ways that are not healthy or good. Why we still have it? Why we have? I mean, I'm giving you a whole talk about that. There are really 2 answers, but one answer has to do with race. Because as long as the South of the United States did not allow African Americans to vote. They did not want to have a national popular vote. I mean, that's the simplest, it's actually quite a complicated story, but white Southerners did not want to get rid of the Electoral College and have a national election. More recently, the reason it's very hard to reform because it's in the Constitution, or most of it is in the Constitution, most of these things are in the Constitution. It's to change the Constitution, you need a 2/3 vote in each House of Congress and then a 3/4 votes of the states. So it's tough to change the Constitution. And there are always some political faction which thinks it's going to lose if they make the change. I mean, that's really the problem. Over the course of American history, a number of attempts have been made. Some of them came close. But then there was always some group that thought it would lose some power if they changed it, and that's what stopped it.
If it changed now, what do you think is going to happen? More Republicans or more Democrats vote?
I don't think that's clear. I don't think that's clear. What's clear is that, but what is clear is that in states which have predictable majorities, it's a state that has, say, a predictable majority that likes the Electoral College. I mean, whether the state I live in, Massachusetts, although we're not 100% predictable, but say the states of the South, which they know will vote Republican, but they also have a 30% black population that's going to vote Democratic. And they just know that they will be able to outvote that black population. And then get all of their electoral votes. So they don't want to change it. I think the places logically that would be most open to changing it would be the places where the election could go either way. But
it's very complex.
It's a complex system. It's a complex inheritance from history, and it's going to be tough to change.